By now I'm sure you know that the best way to start FPV is with a simulator. Flying FPV drones is way harder than it looks, and simulators are the perfect way to get some stick time without putting your hard-earned dollars at risk. But here's the catch. There are things the simulator is not teaching you, and if you overlook them, it could cost you big time. Today we're going to cover 6 things the simulator won't teach you, including one mistake that cost me hundreds. When you're a beginner, it's easy to get hyper fixated on actually flying the drone. I mean, that's where all the magic happens, right? Once you learn to fly the drone, you can get all the cool shots that made you want to start FPV in the first place. Now, the simulator is great for practicing flight, but it leaves out 3 vital skills. Those skills are launching, landing, and hovering. I know, those sound super basic, but they're deceptively hard. Think about it, if you've been flying in the simulator for a little bit, how do you start each session? I'm willing to bet you just punch the throttle to the moon. Everyone loves a rocket ship takeoff, but real life often calls for a much more restrained launch. Especially if you want to make money with FPV, you need to be practicing controlled takeoffs. Sometimes your launch area is far from ideal. Maybe there's a tree overhead, maybe you're surrounded by curious bystanders or film crew, or maybe you're on a hill. Each of these cases requires a confident and controlled launch. The same applies to landing too. It's often way more difficult to land than to launch, especially if you're using a high camera up tilt. For instance, it's super easy to take off from a vehicle, but landing without damaging the paint is another story entirely. Sometimes you may be flying in a wet area or from a boat, and the only dry place is your landing pad. You need to ensure that you can land exactly on that pad. I've also had times where I had to land quickly in heavy winds while surrounded by people. That is an incredibly dangerous scenario, and you need to be confident in your skills before you ever get there. The only way to be confident is to practice hundreds of times in real life. You don't want to get fired from a high-paying gig because you accidentally flew into the director. Hovering is also an underappreciated skill. In theory, it sounds easy, but in practice, it is deceptively hard. I find myself using it all the time, though. Whenever you chase vehicles, you can usually hear them coming from far away. However, if you wait until they're close in an attempt to save battery, you can end up rushing and missing the shot entirely. If you only have one chance to capture the shot, this directly results in lost money. Ask me how I know. To combat this, I will often hover in place until it's go time. A controlled hover burns way less battery than flying the drone around. Just try not to get everyone dusty while you wait. If you master these 3 skills, you're automatically on your way to becoming a pro pilot. But here's the thing. That's only the start of the things the simulator won't teach you. In fact, an accident involving this next point led to me completely demolishing a drone. When you start the simulator, you probably just load up the map and start flying. You spend 20 minutes farting around trying new tricks and gaps until you get bored, then you press escape and pull up YouTube. Hey, no judgments here. The simulator is honestly great for developing muscle memory, but you're missing some key parts of flying. Those parts are arming and disarming. This is another point that sounds really basic, but it's way more important than you might think. The arm switch is so much more than an on-off switch. It's way more tactical than that. When it comes to arming the drone, it's honestly pretty straightforward. Make sure the props are always clear of debris, and be sure not to bump the switch accidentally. This happens more than you might think. I like to bump up the throttle so the drone won't arm even if the switch is accidentally flipped. Like I said, pretty straightforward. However, disarming the drone is a bit of an art, and honestly I could make a whole video on just that. Flipping the arm switch is a movement that should be so familiar to you, you barely recognize you're doing it. It does take some practice to master though. One time while flying, I twitched and disarmed the drone 200 feet in the air. I couldn't find the arm switch fast enough, and that drone ended up plummeting all the way down into the ground where it shattered into pieces. Make sure you practice over and over in real life so this doesn't happen to you. Those arming and disarming skills especially come into play during crashes. Electronic speed controllers are a miracle of modern engineering, but they have a fatal flaw. They depend on a constant load of a motor and a propeller. If that load changes suddenly, like during a crash, your ESC can go up in smoke. Now this happened to me personally when a rock struck my propeller, causing it to explode. The motor spun way up past their expected value, causing an amperage spike. This can also happen if your motors are blocked from spinning by some obstacle. The ESC will feed more and more power into the motor until it finally releases the magic smoke. Now here's what I mean when I say I could make an entire video on this subject. There's a lot of nuance into when you should disarm. As you learn to disarm quickly, you may often find yourself disarming too soon. If you had stayed armed, you might have been able to fly away instead of crashing. This is where #NeverDisarm comes from. Now, this type of practice just isn't possible in the simulator. Over time though, you'll learn it and even master it. However, if you overlook this next point, you won't have an opportunity to master it because your drone will be lost forever. We are spoiled with the amount of high quality simulators we have today. FPV Logic has some incredible bando levels. Trip FPV lets you mountain surf in beautiful environments. Uncrashed has high quality user generated maps. Liftoff still has some of the best physics you'll find. However, all of these sims leave out something I think about with every single flight. That concept is line of sight. Line of sight means a couple different things in FPV. It can mean flying the drone without your goggles on, similar to how you would fly an RC plane. But the version I'm referring to is the amount of things that are in between you and your drone. If you're flying your drone in the middle of a field, you have perfect line of sight. This is pretty much the best your signal will ever be. As you start adding obstacles in between, your signal will degrade. If you add too many obstacles, you may lose signal entirely. Radio waves are tricky. They can actually penetrate a ton of objects, even things that might surprise you like cement walls. However, each obstacle adds up, especially when you're far away. The goal should always be to put as few objects in between you and your drone as possible. Simulators can give you the impression that you can fly free like a bird without any care at all, but you should always be aware of that invisible tether in between you and your drone. When you get to a new spot, walk around and see as much of the area as you can. Find all the obstacles and the places that will block signal and choose a spot to stand based on these. For the best reception, you'll want to face the area you're flying to take advantage of those directional patch antennas. If you have the opportunity, take a few test flights, slowly increasing the risk each time. Good line of sight is crucial to not losing your drone. However, over time you'll find that things just happen. Maybe you pushed your luck a little bit too far and you paid the price. If you haven't thought about this next tip, that can mean crashing and never finding your drone. The whole point of a simulator is to try out risky situations without actually putting your hard-earned dollars at risk. You fly, you crash, you repeat. Each time you learn a little bit more and become a little more confident. I mean, nothing builds confidence like resetting your drone after a crash and taking off to try again. But that's where real life differs. Real world crashes are messy. You can't always just turtle mode and fly out of there. Often when I crash, I'm knee deep in bushes and shrubs. I probably lost video and I have no idea where I landed. That's where this next tip comes in. You have to have a buzzer. See, a lot of people skip this step. Drones are expensive to build and people like to cut costs where they can. But ask yourself, is it worth $20 to save $1,000? I think so. If you weren't aware, your motors actually produce sound. Many people like to depend on this for their buzzer. However, this only works if the battery is still connected to the drone. It's far too uncommon for a battery to be ejected during a crash. That's why I like to use external buzzers like this ViFly Finder 2. Buzzers like these have their own battery. When they sense an unexpected power loss, they give out an ear-piercing tone. Now this has saved me dozens of times. You would not believe how difficult it is to find a drone out in nature. For instance, one time I was flying in this random field in Montana when I experienced an unexpected signal loss. I flipped it into angle mode and punched out, thinking maybe I had lost line of sight somehow, but my video never came back. It turns out there was a bug in my goggles that has since been patched. I took off my goggles and looked at this endless field of grass with only a vague idea of where my drone was. As I started walking towards where I was flying with a sense of dread, I heard the faintest little beep. I started walking towards it and the beep steered me directly to the drone. I mean, look at how well hidden this drone was. I literally never would have found it without the buzzer. Installing a buzzer is a small price to pay for peace of mind. However, if you overlook this next point, your peace of mind could be shattered into pieces. Simulators really excel at building fun environments to fly in. You can fly in bandos, mountain ranges, racetracks, even forests. In fact, most simulators have trees and forests in them. Sometimes the trees will stop you, but other times you can fly right through them. This game mechanic is ignoring a huge part of flying in real life. When you look around a real life forest, what do you see? Not only trees are everywhere, but branches are everywhere. All around are little tiny snags that want to reach out and snatch your drone out of the air. It's not just forest either. Cities and mountain slopes have power lines, towers have guy lines, backyards have clotheslines, all of these basically invisible. The simulator can't quite prepare you for this fact. Even with the DJI O4 Air unit, the clearest video transmitter on the market, sometimes you just can't see things coming. Rushing to fly has knocked my drone out of the air more times than I care to admit. A couple minutes scouting could save you hundreds. When it comes down to it though, you just can't plan for everything. Not every flight is going to be perfect, and eventually the inevitable is going to happen. That leads us to our next point. The whole point of the simulator is to build flying skills without financial danger. However, once you start flying in real life, all of a sudden there is real risk involved. If you crash in the simulator, you press R to reset and you're ready to go again. If you crash in real life, you're putting your hard-earned dollars at risk. The final tip is the simulator will not teach you how to repair a drone. But you know who will teach you? I will, but only if you subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.